We are going to get started with our practice today. Please taking ourselves to our mats. We'll begin in Shavasana, laying flat down, getting comfortable. So whenever we're ready to do so, let's get onto the floor. When we find ourselves resting on our backs, please notice if we prefer a straight leg or a bent leg today, listening to our body right away at the beginning of our class to make sure that we're really being mindful, settling in on left and right sides of body, hips and shoulders, noticing right from the pubic symphysis up through the spine, up to the top of the head, we're finding a neutral alignment. Becoming even, leveling off through the pelvis and shoulder girdles. Releasing those arms down by our sides if that's comfortable, as we allow the legs to relax, opening through the hips. As we settle in to Shavasana, our corpse pose, I want us to find a state of relaxation. We are calm. We are at peace. And what we're able to do here is set aside all of the other worries, any stress, anything going on outside of our body at this very moment. We're going to practice mindfulness, staying present without judgment, and enjoy each stretch, each breath as it comes. And while focusing on our breathing, let's start taking that two-part breath. Inhaling through the nose, filling the diaphragm, lifting through the stomach and ribs. Exhaling through the nose, feeling the body melting down into the ground. Noticing as we become attentive to our breath, we're feeling this sense of calmness rush over us. And at any point throughout the practice, or even just throughout the day, if we notice ourselves becoming anxious, flustered, or frustrated, take a minute and find this 5-count breath. Breathing in for approximately 5 counts. And breathing out for the same 5 counts. Repeating this about 5 times, allowing our mind to become free, allowing more of an open perspective, some creativity, releasing all of the stress, even for just a moment, to find some clarity. Reaching our arms now long up above our head, expanding through the rib cage, noticing if our lower backs have peeled off the mat. Allow the abdomen to relax as we really focus on filling that space with air on the inhale and completely relaxing on that exhale. What do we notice about our shoulders, our backs, our rib cage as we open through that upper body? Let's continue to check in with our body today, checking in with our mind and our spirit. Releasing those arms down, slowly and carefully drawing our knees up into the chest. I love beginning with a knees to chest, rocking side to side, taking a moment of gratitude, giving ourselves that big hug, noticing how the lower backs are feeling, any tightness or tension through the hips. Continuing to hold the knees into chest, go ahead and start rolling through our ankles. A great benefit of practicing yoga is being able to work on our blood flow and circulation, encouraging the blood to work all the way out to those lower extremities, toes. Keeping a hold of both knees, just give another big squeeze and now release the left leg to the floor as we draw the right knee out towards the right shoulder. Trying to keep both hips and shoulders flat on the ground, noticing as we lengthen that left side, if we're feeling any tightness through that left hip flexor down into the thigh, being mindful of this. Perhaps we're noticing a stretch coming through the inside, the inner thigh of that right leg. Staying here if this is feeling exceptionally good this morning. Otherwise, crossing that knee over towards the left shoulder, still continuing to draw the knee in towards the chest, stretching through the outside of our right hip. Make this as big or small as you'd like to today. Beginning to become more familiar with our own body. Inhaling through the middle, exhale, releasing down. Whenever we're ready, the inhale draws the left knee in and out towards the left shoulder, and we start to press that right leg down into the floor, becoming more aware now of the left inner thigh and the front of that right hip. Noticing too, any tension across the neck and shoulders as we try to release both shoulders down into the floor. Crossing the knee over towards the right shoulder if it feels good, otherwise remaining open. Noticing what we're feeling, where the sensation is building through the left hip. Has it concentrated? Is it localized? Whenever we're ready, let's take that inhale, drawing through the middle, and exhale, lowering down. Feet are coming flat onto the floor. Just placing them about hips-width distance apart as we draw the fingers to the side of the head. Gently tuck the chin as we lengthen neck, lifting head and shoulders up off of the ground. An alternating march for ab work here with an inhale, right knee lifts. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left knee. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right. Exhale, down. Inhale, left. Exhale. Let's do a few more of these, moving at your own pace. If we move faster, that's okay. We can go beyond our breath, move beyond that count. If we'd like to work more on control, sticking with the breath to control that timing. Noticing if it's not very comfortable to lift the head up off of the ground, that's fine. Return the head to the mat. This is just an option to add a little bit more challenge with the abdominal flexion, with that contraction. We'll take one more on each side and then relax that head down. Very nice. Arms coming out to the side, making a T with the body, making sure we're okay in our room, readjusting as needed. Take our knees both up 90 degrees. Windshield wipers, feel free to glue the knees together if that helps, securing shoulders and hips on the floor. We inhale in the middle. Now exhale both legs over towards the right side. Doesn't have to be very big. Inhale up to the middle and exhale to the left side. Inhale through the middle, exhale to the right, inhale into the middle, exhale to the left. Keep going with this. If anybody needs more today, feel free to straighten the legs, adding a longer lever to add more challenge. Otherwise, we keep the legs smaller for more control. Let's try to keep the shoulders pressing into the mat to avoid over-rotation. Working on understanding how our abdominal muscles and obliques can contract and activate to control the movement of the legs. One more time each side, warming up through the torso. And release, whether we hug the knees in or simply lower the legs down. We're all going to meet with our feet on the floor, making sure again that we're still establishing a long neutral spine. Hips are level, arms are down by our sides, reaching our hips up with our next inhale, finding glute bridge. Exhale, lower. Now noticing if we need to draw the feet in closer or farther away to be comfortable with the knees. Continuing to do a few of these, inhaling to lift and exhaling to lower, keeping the feet all 10 toes, the hands all 10 fingers, pressing into the floor evenly, avoiding drawing the feet forward or back, keeping the weight planted through all four corners, big toe, little toe, inside, outside of heel. We'll do one more of these, just starting to mobilize through the spine, stretching through the core, activating the hips. Very good. All right, taking our time as we roll ourselves over. We're going to stop in the middle, incorporating another core exercise. If I could get us to sit nice and tall whenever we're up there, happy on our mats, let's draw the feet roughly hips width distance apart here. Taking our hands underneath our shoulders, sitting up, or underneath our knees, sitting up really tall. Leaning back about 45 degrees. We're coming into boat pose. Abdominal muscles engaged. Feel free to leave the hands on the leg or extend them forward. If you need more challenge in boat pose, we lift the legs up. If you notice though that the hips just started clenching, which is often problematic with office work, sitting at a computer all day, we want to keep those feet down and even maybe play with the feet a little bit just to try to relax those thighs, drawing those bellies in just a little bit more. Remember, the arms can be extended or we can hold on to those legs if that's a little bit better for us today. Being mindful, be aware of how our body's working so that we can function optimally. Working through our poses in the most effective and safe manner. We're holding boat pose for one more big inhale. Exhale, release. Fantastic. Give yourself a nice big hug. And now carefully, let's roll ourselves over onto our hands and knees, pressing ourselves back into child's pose. Checking in with the hips, the feet, the knees, the backs, the shoulders. Noticing if our forehead is able to touch the floor or how much space is in between the floor and the head itself. Notice how close our hips are down into the feet. Are they touching? Is there a lot of space? Do we need to separate the knees far from each other to make it comfortable? We're going to take our flow series next. What this entails is an inhale forward to plank, staying on our knees. Our exhale takes us down into a modified baby crocodile, hovering above the mat. Inhale, press straight up into our modified plank position, and then we exhale back into child's pose. We're going to do this 4 times. Inhaling forward. Exhale, lower, keeping the back straight. Inhale, press straight up, leaving the back straight. Exhale, push back into child's pose. Inhaling forward, shoulders stacked above hands. Exhale, lower, elbows trying to touch ribs. Inhale, press straight up. Exhale, push back. And one more time. Inhaling forward. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, press straight up. And exhale, push back. Good. Starting to activate through those shoulders. Next, we'll lift ourselves up into tabletop, finding our spinal balance. Continuing to engage through those core muscles, let's draw those belly buttons up. Taking our right arm and extend it forward as high as the shoulder, pressing that left leg back behind us. And lower down. Inhale the left arm forward and the right leg back. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right. Exhale, down. Inhale, left. Exhale, maintaining a long neck. Inhale, right. Exhale. Inhale, left. Exhale, we're going to activate hip and shoulder here as we inhale, right arm, left leg, hold it. And now extend out into a diagonal. Right arm reaches to the right, left leg reaches to the left. Drawing that back in and lower down. Inhale, left arm, right leg, hold it, find your balance. Now open to the diagonal. Right leg to the right, left arm to the left, trying to keep the arm and leg as high as it was in spinal balance. Inhale, drawing through the middle. Exhale, lower. We'll do it one more time each side. Inhale, right arm, left leg. Open out to that diagonal. What we're doing here is activating through the hip and shoulder, continuing to squeeze. Inhaling through the middle. Exhale, lower, continuing to work good posture. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Open out to the diagonal. Nice and strong, belly buttons in. Inhale through the middle. Exhale, lower. Good. Let's take our cats and cows. Inhale, opening through the chest, lifting foreheads tall. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, draw the belly buttons up, round the back. Inhale, untucking and opening. Exhale, round the back, belly buttons in, tuck the chin. Inhale, open, massaging through the core. And exhale, round up nice and high. Good. Reestablishing tabletop as we sweep our right foot forward, up in between the hands for runner's lunge. Lining our knee up right on top of the ankle. I'm going to ask that we come up onto our knee into this runner's lunge with our knee on the ground. Arms come up nice and high. If this is uncomfortable for the shoulders, we find heart center instead. And for those of us who don't like resting on the knee for various reasons, we come up instead just into a nice high lunge. However you need to get there, whether you have a chair nearby or if you come out of the posture altogether. Now, as we hold runner's lunge, I want the focus to be on opening up that back hip. So lift the belly, roll the shoulders down, long space, long necks between ears and shoulders. Continuing to focus on our breathing, maybe even closing our eyes. Let's take one more big inhale. Exhale, release the hands, but staying in the position. I want us to cross that left hand over the right leg and then start to reach that right arm behind us, finding a twist in our lunge. We may notice more of a stretch through that hip, maybe even through the back. Staying proud, staying tall. Slowly rotate forward. And because some of us might be standing, we're going to switch to the other side. That way we're not doing anything in between. Taking our left leg forward however we need to get there. Hands can come to the floor if they need to. We're now pressing that weight through the left knee, opening up that back right hip. Big reach of the arms when we're ready. Shoulders coming down, deciding if we're leaving the hands tall or coming into our heart center. One reestablished position. Let's check in with our breathing. Maybe close our eyes, relax the facial features. And enjoy the posture. Final big inhale. Exhale, release the arms, maintain the lunge. Taking that right arm now, start to draw it across. Rather than just twisting and slouching, I want you to think of the rotation through the middle. Right arm just touches through that leg. Left arm reaches back behind. Maintaining an upright posture as we twist, noticing any extra extension happening through that hip. One more big inhale. Exhale, rotating forward. Take our time, coming back with the legs. We'll all come down in through child's pose. Oh my goodness. Noticing how that feels on the hips as we stay rested in child's pose. Feeling more warmed up now. Taking our time, working our way into down dog next. If we're coming into down dog, toes curl, heels lift, push away from our hands. Start to stretch the entire posterior chain all the way up the back of our body, from heels through hips, backs, shoulders, and necks. In fact, let's spend a little bit of time on those necks. Shaking our head no. Nodding the head yes. Looking back at our hands now, having nice long necks established. We pedal through the feet, toe to heel. Now I'm talking about our down dog pose, but again, for anybody who's choosing not to take down dog, staying in child's pose, working through that. Now holding down dog, let's plant those feet. Let's look up between our hands, slowly reach forward into plank. Feel free to stay in a high plank or at any time take the knees to the floor. We're taking a chaturanga, slow, lower down. Inhale, scooping up. all the way through baby cobra or coming up high into full cobra. Stretching the front of the body, and then we'll curl our toes and push back either through down dog or child's pose. I'd like to do that flow series 3 more times. Inhaling forward into plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, scooping up to cobra. Exhale, push back, down dog or child. Inhaling forward, plank position. Exhale, lower, chaturanga. Inhale, lifting tall, cobra. Exhale, pushing back, down dog or child. One more time. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift tall. Exhale, push back. Holding down dog or child, pressing away from those 10 fingers, back in through the feet, lifting tall with the tailbone. And walking our hands and feet together, noticing after that vinyasa, our flow, that we're feeling a little bit more warmed up. Hands drawing together on shins or thighs into monkey. In monkey, I want us to flatten out our backs, creating almost a tabletop surface. Knees can be slightly bent. Shoulder blades really pulling together in the backs with long necks. Feeling a slight stretch up those hamstrings. Shifting the weight back into our heels, reaching chest tall. We're finding chair pose. Drawing bellies in, continuing to lengthen through lower backs. Remember, arms, if they're not reaching tall, are finding heart center instead. Now let's take our big breath. Inhale, lift tall, finding Tadasana, and exhale, release. Oh, good. Feel free to roll the shoulders, grab a quick drink of water if you need it. We're going to stand tall at the top of our mat now, preparing for a warrior series. So if you're at the top edge of your mat, standing tall in Tadasana, I'm going to turn forward to face the front. From our top, we take our left foot behind us into warrior one. Right foot's going to step forward, planting the feet fully and completely down on the floor, hips and shoulders staying square. Arms are extending nice and tall or finding heart center. Continuing to zip up and now really bend through that right knee. As we hold warrior one, right knee is bent, left leg is straight. Let's imagine really pressing down through the back toes, the back heel, forward through the knee, lifting taller and taller. Warrior one can be very peaceful, very grounding in our standing 2-foot posture. Feeling stable, feeling strong. From here, I'd like us to focus on stretching through the hamstrings and pyramid. So we'll take our hands down as we extend forward through the front leg. Try not to lock it, leave a slight knee bend, hinging forward with flat backs. Slowly walking our hands down the thigh, whether it's staying tall in the thigh position, coming onto the shin, the foot, or the floor. In pyramid, just like the Egyptians built, they're strong, they're secure, they're grounded, they're proud. Keeping our backs flat. And as with all of our postures in yoga, the breath work is inhale to experience, exhale to release. Getting just a little bit deeper. Maybe noticing too, if we accidentally lifted one hip side up, noticing if we can level off the hips, closing that left hip down more towards the floor, what the experience is up the back of our right leg. I love pyramid, releasing all the tension through the hamstring, up the hip, even down the back. What I'd like us to do now is soften through that right knee. Take our time walking all the way up the leg. We're going to open into warrior two. We may have to make the legs just a little bit bigger as we spiral the arms out to the side, bending into that right knee. I'll turn to the side for a better profile. So from warrior one, spiral open into warrior two. We're keeping the rib cage tight, the shoulders back, stacked on top of the hips. And as we push away from that back right foot, bending forward into the right knee. holding our posturing, extending those arms, reaching away from those fingers, opening up our hips, taking ourselves into reverse warrior. We bring that right hand tall to the sky, thinking about the lateral extension rather than the flexion. So rather than the side bend, let's think about the lift up through that right hand. Lifting tall. Good, and then finding ourselves spiraling all the way down to the floor. However we can, sweep back to plank. Now some of us will choose to immediately come back into child's pose or down dog. Others may choose to work with me. And if we're choosing to work, we're going to hold our plank for a few breaths. Just encouraging a little bit of muscle activation, working synergistically through the core, the shoulders, the legs, giving the legs and the arms a bit of a squeeze here. Taking that final big inhale. Exhale, lower, chaturanga completely to the floor. And inhale, scoop up through cobra. Pressing back, down dog or child. Listen to the body. Take the stretch that's right for you at this moment in your practice. Is it child's pose to relax, to regain our breath? Or is it down dog to work on flexibility, strength, and control? Making sure that every time we take the pose or a posture in yoga, that it's matching what your intention or what your needs for the class are. Being mindful, non-judgmental, staying present. Slowly walking our hands and feet together at the top of our mat. Take our time coming up halfway into monkey again. Let's establish great posture. When else do we check in with our posture? Drawing shoulder blades together, creating long necks, slight chin tuck. Drawing those belly buttons in as we flatten out our lower backs. Shifting weight into the heels for chair. Sitting back, maybe lower this time, lower than the first time. Using our biggest muscle groups, right through the back and the legs to help increase circulation and blood flow and heart rate. Taking one more big inhale, lifting tall. And exhale, release. Very nice. As we reestablish Tadasana, our mountain pose, we're going to grab a quick drink if necessary. Feel free to do so. Otherwise, getting ourselves ready by planting both feet firmly on the floor, inside, outside edges of the feet, rolling those shoulders down. Preparing for warrior one. This time our left foot stays planted on the front of the mat. The right foot is coming directly behind us. Notice the feet are planted hips width distance apart, slightly narrower for those of us who have longer Achilles, longer stretch through the ankle, slightly wider for those of us who are a bit shorter through the ankle, or just feel like we need a little bit more security in our stance. Continuing to bend through that left knee. As we lift tall, we can have arms raised or heart center. Regardless, the shoulders are pulling down. The torso is zipped up tall. The necks are long. Good, let's continue to bend through that knee. And I'll invite you to close your eyes. Notice how that changes the pose. Maybe we like it and we'll continue doing so. Maybe it's something we practice regularly. Or perhaps this is new and uncomfortable. And it's something that we can play with experimenting. Pressing forward just a little bit into that left knee, a little bit more. Pressing down through that right heel a little bit more. Taking one more big inhale. And exhale, release the arms, preparing for pyramid. Go ahead and straighten out both legs, leaving hips and shoulders square as we hinge over that front leg. A forward fold. As we take that pyramid, notice if the hips are trying to shift, where it's best to hold our hands on this side. Left side might be different from right. Long necks as we reach ourselves down. And I'll repeat again the same mantra. Inhale to experience. Exhale to release. Checking in with our hips. Never feeling like once we're in a pose, it's fixed and it's, capable of change. Understand that we're constantly adjusting the posture. Let's take our time walking up that front leg now. I absolutely loved pyramid. We're going to open into our warrior two. Same as before, we spiral open those arms, perhaps making the legs a little bit bigger, spreading the legs out, feet are farther from one another, opening the body so shoulders and hips are stacked, knees are pressing away. If I turn to the front, please continue to bend into that left knee as we prepare for reverse warrior. Really strong through those arms, taking the left hand, reaching it tall. Again, not leaning or sinking, but lengthening. And as we lengthen through the left arm, we'll bend through that left knee. Good. Long neck, shoulders stay down. Opening up through the inner thigh, the hips, through the entire left side of the upper body. One more big inhale. Exhale, slowly spiral down, finding ourselves into plank position, choosing to work, holding plank with me for a few breaths, or feel free to go back into down dog or child's pose. Holding it here, good. So again, checking in with ourselves, not feeling pressured to take one option or the other. If we're holding plank, take our final big inhale. Exhale, chaturanga, lowering to the mat with optimal control. Inhale, lifting up, baby or full. Noticing as we take cobra, we're repeating it over and over again. Maybe our hips have lifted higher up off the ground. Maybe we're feeling longer through the spine, more open through chest. Let's press back next into down dog or child's pose. Again, let's listen to the body, taking the stretch that our body's asking for. Great work, everyone. Feeling the circulation, the benefits of re-oxygenating all of the muscles in our body. Removing those waste products, stimulating the nervous system. The effects of exercise, feeling the endorphins. Together, let's all find tabletop. We'll find ourselves coming into modified dog or puppy dog next, walking our hands as far forward on our mats as we can get them before tilting our tailbone up to the sky, reaching our chest towards the floor. The focus here is on stretching through the upper back and the chest and shoulders. If we need to, we can take the foreheads down. If we want a little bit more, we take the chin to the mat, really letting the shoulder blades wing in the back. Couple of breaths here. Slowly pressing our way all the way back into child's pose. Stretching deeper into our shoulders, we'll walk both hands over to the right side, taking that left hand on top of right hand, sinking our weight back into that left hip, stretching open down the left side of our body. Very similar to our reverse warrior. Slowing our breathing. Gently walking our hands over towards the left side now. Taking that right hand on top, sitting back through the right hip. Now the focus is on lengthening and stretching down the right side of the arm into the torso. Walking ourselves back into the middle and hands coming up, sweeping ourselves with legs forward into stack pose. And in stack, we have long legs, feet are glued together with toes pointing up to the ceiling. We're going to take another forward fold stretch, this time with legs together. Inhale, lift those arms up nice and tall. Exhale, reaching forward over the legs, wherever that might be. I want us to notice the stretch with back flat, and then drop the head, the hands, the forehead. regardless of where the hands reach, taking a note, taking a picture, writing that down in our mental yoga journal. Now breathing into the stretch. How does it feel today? We can compare it with previous experiences, but not with judgment or with expectation. Just as a reflection, something to notice. Now slowly we'll start to unfold the spine, rounding ourselves up, taking our butterfly posture, taking feet in, gluing the soles of the feet together, toes holding our ankles sitting up as tall as we possibly can. If this is at all uncomfortable on the knees, simply move the feet farther away from the hips. I want us to start to hinge forward, leaving back as flat as possible. We can keep elbows tucked in or press them down to help open the knees. Feel free to stay in this hinged posture. However, I like to now tuck my chin behind my upper back, encouraging a relaxation response through the neck and shoulders. Slowly coming all the way back up as we take both legs together. Next, we'll take a spinal twist, extending our right leg forward. Feel free to keep the left leg where it is or crossing it to the outside of the leg. We'll rotate that right elbow to hug the knee. And again, when we rotate, please stay tall, lifting proudly through the chest. And we can look over that left shoulder, keeping our backs as flat as possible, hugging the knee or choosing to extend the arm with our hand raised. Noticing what we're feeling. Is it through the hip? Is it through the back? Is it through the shoulder? Twisting just one more time. And releasing through the middle. Helping our legs switch. So we've now taken the left leg long with the right foot on the inside or outside of that left leg. And as we continue to work on sitting up tall, we'll now add that rotation using the hand, the arm, or the elbow against the knee to help us rotate around to the right. Couple of big breaths. Slowly rotating forward and release the legs. At this point, I'll invite those of you who are able to stay to find ourselves coming back onto the mat in Shavasana or stay seated in an upright position. If anyone has to leave, I understand, taking time to mentally and physically exit. Otherwise, let's spend the next 1 minute or so focusing on that final relaxation. Whether we've chosen to lay down in Shavasana or find a comfortable seated posture, let's close our eyes, relax our hips and our shoulders. Notice the muscles in our face, releasing tension from the eyelids. Notice if we're clenching our jaw. And now letting go of the abdomen. No longer is it required to hold us upright and working in that controlled mannerisms. Instead, we release the abdomen, enabling the diaphragm to expand fully with each inhale. And as we exhale, the diaphragm contracts, drawing the body smaller into a more relaxed state. Paying attention to our breath in and paying attention to our breath out. Allowing our body to become more relaxed. Allow everything to slow down. Taking one more big breath. And exhale, starting to release the fingers and toes. Maybe even rolling the wrists or the ankles. Stretching anything left that needs stretching, whether it's rocking the head side to side, rolling through the shoulders, releasing through the backs or the sides. When we're ready, let's meet up in our seated pose, preparing to say our final goodbye together. Before doing so, again, just becoming one with our breathing. Notice what our natural tempo, the depth of each breath, what feels good today. Checking in with the body, checking in with our mind, checking in with our spirit. Emotionally speaking, how are we today? Do we feel better? Are we now equipped to take on the afternoon? I'd like to take this as an opportunity to thank everyone. Now let's say that final goodbye. Big inhale, reaching arms up above head to prayer. Exhaling down through heart center. Namasté. Thank you so much, everyone. Wonderful job.